Okay, for those of you listening to the audio podcast, we also release the show with video visuals on YouTube. So if you like some pretty pictures to go along with our pretty voices, search for Digital Suffering Podcast on YouTube to find us. Hello, and welcome to episode 9 of the Digital Suffering Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen Something.
And I'm PhamtomLimb.
Today we're going to talk about a few things. First up is the new released game from Capcom, Teppen.
Maybe not from Capcom.
Not from Capcom, except it features all the Capcom characters. So I figured that saying it was from Capcom is probably a safe
It's closer than anything else.
Anyway, it is a card battling game. It's the closest. It's very hard to describe because it features bits and pieces from that other games have, but it ranges the ingredients in such a way that you kind of have to see it to believe it. So you have essentially the battlefield area, and each side has 3 slots where you get an array of cards. That gets given to you according to how much energy it takes to charge them. You place them in one of the slots, and the cards then fire a attack towards the enemy.
Really slowly.
Really slowly. It kind of crawls. If the energy attack thing hits the far side of the field, hits the enemy, it deducts from the enemy's health pool. If there's enemy card in the way, it hits the card and deducts from the enemy's card health instead. And so that's it. You just sort of spam cards onto the table and they attack each other. And all the cards feature, art various Capcom characters. When you start off the game, in the tutorial, you get control of Ryu from the Street Fighter franchise, and all the cards featured are like Dan and DJ and Chun-Li and stuff. They're all Street Fighter characters. And so each character has different abilities, different health, different attack stats. The main problem with the game, I found, was that being targeted with the mobile, I couldn't play it on my tablets. I had to play it on mobile, on my phone, which, while it's 1080p, the screen is a little small. And
it's not small. It's 5.5 inches or something.
Which is
small.
Yeah, but
it's a mobile game. It's supposed to be played on mobile.
The portraits are super highly detailed. The numbers are tiny, and distinguishing which cards you need to deploy and what they do in the heat of battle, unless you commit Dex to the memory, just becomes. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna pick whatever card becomes ungrayed out first because I literally have no idea what I'm doing. Well, it was a tutorial, and obviously the enemy's going easy on me, and they throw tons of health at me. It was like I went through the tutorial and said, well, I kind of know what I'm doing, but I have no idea how to use the cards that I'm given in an optimal fashion. It was just like, just put the cards on the table and just hope that you've made the right choices.
It's weird watching it. It's weird, right? Because it like all these card games autoplay to a certain degree, but cards do different things. Now, this, apart from the place you put the card, it doesn't seem like I haven't played it. It doesn't seem like they actually do different things.
They have like attack stats and stuff, but literally once you place them, that's it. They do their own thing.
Yeah,
they do the thing.
That's fine. I mean, like, I've watched a lot of Hearthstone.
Yeah.
So you have cards that constantly counterattack.
Yeah.
And or they explode, or they do.
But here they're all
strategized things. These things seemingly just auto attack and just get in the way of your avatar, be it Ryu or whomever.
Yeah.
Getting hit and losing health points.
Also,
there was an arbitrary 5-minute time on that game.
Yeah, because they didn't want the games to last too long.
That's fine, but is it going to actively limit the amount of cards that you can put up? Because there's cooldowns on the cards. Yeah. You always have the same amount of cards, it seems.
You have a maximum of 5 in the hand you can play from, but there's an energy bar that fills up. So you may have 5 cards, in the hand, but you can't play them until you have enough. The energy bar reaches a certain point, and the cards become active for play, which is like
the weird cooldown.
Yeah, so obviously when the enemy attacks incoming, and you're watching energy bar crawl, and you're like, I can't hurry up and fill up so I can put the damn card on. It seems a bit weird, whereas in like Hearthstone, you take turns, isn't it?
Yes.
It's your turn, you put the card down,
and
you
got
wait.
A certain value
the enemy
of
is attacking
you can use.
and you can't put the card down for the next 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's just weird. I don't know. Maybe as I ranted about last week, it was last week, I think, or a couple of weeks ago. If it's not a battle royale game, it's a battle card game.
Battle card game.
It's one or the other. That is all that. Like the market is flooded with one or the other.
Everyone's going for the easy money until it burns it out the category.
Sure, I get it. It's lame, right? But do you think this is their attempt to redefine the genre so it makes it so different that they stand out? And also, they've got the licensing, obviously, from Capcom.
In terms of battle mechanics standing out, I don't think this
is standing out in the wrong way. This is standing out in the rain.
Well, you can't say there is pretty much any game that plays like this one, because you watched it and it was like, what the heck? The only thing is that beyond new decks, it doesn't seem like the cards differentiate themselves very much. I mean, obviously, there's ones you put on the play area, and there are ones that you can use to like directly attack. So you just drop them on the enemy's cards,
I think that has
and they just do direct damage.
I think that has to do with the bar at the bottom, though.
Yeah, but it's like that gives you 2 different types of attack, and how much of a game is there after that? Then it's just collecting decks and stuff for completionists. I don't know. I didn't get far into it, but it was just like, it did not feel. It felt just really uninvolving to play, because you put the cards down and then you just wait while very slow attacks are exchanged. Where stuff like with Hearthstone, obviously you click a card and you say, right, I know this card has an effect, and I mean they have flavor text and stuff, and it says, right, this affects means and this thing. But with Teppen, it was just, this sends a little blue ball of energy, just like every other card does.
What is that name?
I assume in Japanese it means something.
I think it might be, maybe it is Japanese, I don't know.
Capcom being a Japanese company.
Yeah, well, I don't think Capcom developed this.
Okay, well, it's... someone could have come on and say, oh...
It's so strange, though, because I saw this because I was on the Play Store on my phone, on my Android phone.
Yeah.
And this was on the front page.
Okay.
Right? That's how I originally saw it. And you were in America at Anime Expo, and they did a 30-minute press conference / what's this? Stage event.
Yeah.
Like,
for a mobile game.
Hideously cringy stave event for a mobile game because of the licensing.
But, given the gameplay, it doesn't need... Unless they're explaining on how to play it properly, it didn't strike me as them needing to...
Look, they've got shots of the audience clapping and smiling. Makes me sick.
Yeah, no. Well, actually, I came across it because it showed up in the Google store. It was called games you could pre-register for, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll just pre-register everything that has a nice icon, and just hope that thing. It's Gung Ho Entertainment is the studio responsible.
Based in Korea, right?
I know nothing about them. The Asian markets. There's obviously these companies can produce tons of stuff that's local to the region and can do very well, and us in the West will have never heard of it unless it gets an international release. Gung Ho is a Japanese video game developer, known for hosting the Japanese server of Ragnarok Online and Ragnarok DS on the for the Nintendo DS. So it looks like they.
Well, that's definitely with the art style and the sort of obvious attention to details come from.
Yeah. So it looks like perhaps Capcom picked them to, pick them as a studio to produce the game for them. Then, anyway, it's just the problem is like with Hearthstone. Obviously, you can have more than how many cards can you have on the fields in Hearthstone? Loads.
I've seen people like 8, 10 cards.
Yeah.
But it's based on the points.
Yeah. Obviously, you're capped on how many you can deploy.
Yeah, and then the value of the card that you're playing.
Yeah, contributes. Whereas here, you're capped at 3 cards, 3 active cards on the field.
You've got a weird little AP bar, which I'm not sure if that's that. I think that is the actual value. So you've got the cards, have got the assigned.
Yeah. So
similar to Hearthstone.
Once it hits 5, then you can deploy any card that's 5 AP or less.
Yes. Yeah.
But that means if you deploy 5, all the other cards are a thing, and you're like, I got nothing to do.
That's the thing. You're still getting hit because these auto attacks that come from
the
other side,
they're constant.
It's constant. So
it's like it's like imagine playing Hearthstone if it was real time.
No, I'm alright.
Because whoever can spam the cards onto the table fastest would win.
It'd be insanity.
We should suggest that to Blizzard. Speed Hearthstone.
What is strategy?
Yeah, but that's it. Here, it's like.
Okay,
it doesn't seem to be enough.
Because they don't seem to have that, like, ability-wise. They've got shields and everything else, but it always seems to be taken out in one hit. Look,
maybe they're using very strong cards.
Red Bonnet there in the centre had 6 on the shield. She's just about to get hit.
Boom.
Okay, she lost 3. That's because the other person has attack power 3. Yeah. Every time other than I've seen it, they've just gone out in one hit.
Maybe someone's just doing some mad hacks or something. I don't know.
Mad hacks.
But the thing is, so they had this big event at AX, and it's like it doesn't need that unless like
way over the
Capcom are like it's a dry season and like, well, we got no new games coming up for the next 3 months. We might as well.
The Versus series is dead thanks to our last game. That was a doozy. Let's never do that again.
Yeah. Well.
So you'll be playing this instead of Gwent, obviously.
Well, I've not played Gwent, so
So no danger of that.
No danger of that. But I mucked about with Teppen for about 15 minutes. The thing is, it's got there's so much promise there. I mean, the amount of detail that goes into the characters, the animation, the cards, it's just obscene. And then just having it crammed down on your mobile phone, it needs to be.
Yeah, but that's indicative of mobile games now, because, like you've said a couple of times, this game would look happily and comfortable on a console, and you wouldn't notice the difference.
That's exactly. You play it full screen on a television, it would work. Although the control system might be weird.
It would be
you need like Nintendo Wii, so you could like.
It would be garbage.
It strikes me as like overkill for the kind of game it is, which is such a shame because if the battle system was better, I was like, okay, I'll install it. I was going to give it time, but I just could not get on with it. And after completing the tutorial section, unlocking the main menu, it was like, do I feel compelled to play more? Because the battles didn't really feel enjoyable. I was just not engaged. You play the cards, as fast as you can. I mean, the thing was, it's like, okay, if you tap the cards, you can get a little description. But because it's real time, the battle, as you're like reading cards, it's like, okay, is this card any good? Read the description. No, is this card any good? I'm not sure. Okay, next card, is that any good? And in the meantime, you're just losing energy because the enemy knows what it's doing. Although having said that, I think that the PvE stuff is mainly just to get players up to speed. I think the big push is mainly for player versus player.
Oh yeah, of course. It always
and when you get to that, then your opponent has the exact same thing. They need to know what their cards are and stuff like that. But it doesn't. As I said, keep going back to Hearthstone. There doesn't seem to be enough variety to make it strategic enough.
Yeah.
The strategy seems too limited, unless it's a thing where you get cards that have really noticeable effects. And then it becomes a case of, if you don't have that deck, you don't have those cards, you're relegated to the lower tiers because you will literally not win.
Yeah.
The Hearthstone has the same problem where if you don't keep up with the latest meta, then generally you're screwed over. But you got to hope that they sort of balance it enough that it's not milk the players, money for the next, hot deck, because otherwise, you ain't worth it. And we all know how that turns out. I mean,
and this is if Capcom had any involvement in it, they probably already made you download the content before they unlock it with a paywall.
Are we talking about? Are we referring to Street Fighter here?
I'm referring to everything they've ever done.
Capcom. Yep. Let's just check those boxes because they've already done it.
There's just watching it. Obviously, I said I haven't played it. Maybe I'm wrong, but what's the incentive of me not just playing? Because obviously,
just play with the first the deck you've got.
No. But attack power is going to start off low, but just spam the lowest value cards because you always get an attack off. So if I spam a high value card and waste all my attack power, let's say I've got 7 attack power, and I've only got cards that are 3 and above. Right, so I play a 5 card. That gets 1 shot off, 1 attack off.
Yeah.
The other person has 7 attack power and plays 3 cards that are 2.
Yeah.
They get 3 attacks off. They die from my attack.
But they hit you twice.
But they hit me twice. Whereas, just thinking about it for 5 minutes, how is that not going to be the solution?
The game obviously, hands you cards for you to play into the free hand. Maybe it's just balanced so they will just start giving you higher value cards so that you run out of the lower value ones. So eventually, later on in the game, you're suddenly stuck with these cards and you can't respond fast.
If I have control over my deck...
You saw it. It just throws cards at the bottom for you to pick from. You don't...
Yeah, but that's similar to the others.
I don't know how much...
But you can choose your deck before you even go into
I don't know how much facility you get with deck building.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just spitballing. It's just
yeah. It does have some facilities to deck build because it did mention that you can mix and match. But yeah, what's to stop you from building a whole just all your entire deck all twos and just
I've always got 3 on the board. You've always got less than me.
Maybe the thing is if the attack does more than the hit points of the card, it punches through and you take the difference.
Maybe.
That's one way of balancing.
I'm still blocking the attack. Even if my card dies, I'm still stopping the attack hitting my avatar.
I don't know.
Anyway, I don't want to get too deep into it. It's just...
Yeah, no, that's an interesting thought. And if they haven't accounted for it, then the meta's going to get very, very stale very, very quickly. There's going to have
to be a serious balance change quick.
Yeah. But, it's not like other card games haven't gone through... sort of it's things where they've released cards that have been too OP or their effects have just been nonsense. I mean, Hearthstone does it pretty much every season. 30 packs for free. I guess I'm downloading it again. I'll download it again. See, the audience going mental.
Teppen Core, and you get 30 packs for free.
I wonder how much a pack costs.
Or maybe that's 180 cards. So what
okay, that's a lot of cards.
That's a lot of cards. There's a lot of 2s in 180.
You're going to go dominate. You're going to become a champion at the game. Just why has no one thought of this? Spam.
Change meta. I'm no longer the champion.
They're going to call it the... it's technically it's a Zerg rush, isn't it? Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing. Just put as many on the field as humanly possible.
Yeah, just overwhelm them with low units.
That's what ants do, and it works for them.
Yeah. I've dealt with army ants, man. Well, not dealt with them because when I went to Peru, it was called army ants, out in the forest around the small settlement we were staying at, and it's what stops the ants from just like saying, "Hey, human houses, let's go have a look there"? It's like, what the hell? I mean, you just see these things. What's it called? One of the people in our group, tried to pick up an army ant, bit it.
Yeah, of course.
And he had to thing. He pulled it apart, trying to get it off his finger.
Yeah.
Nasty little buggers. But yeah, it was
serious
like
lockjaw.
The thing is, he's just like, oh yeah, these are army ants, just like casually. You're like, whoa! I'm just gonna walk. I'm just gonna stay on this side of the pot. You don't want to touch in the trees because these things are like everywhere, just terrifying.
Well, they'll swarm you, wouldn't they?
Yeah. So to sum up, Teppen is like army ants.
Teppen is like
It's
not
a
your
shame.
favourite game.
The problem is I wanted to like it because it's got, there's so many well-known Capcom franchises and stuff, and they got such a rich amount of source material to pull from. It's just that I don't want to play the game. I mean, if they could find a better game mechanic for it, maybe I'd get into it. Oh well, that's enough of that. Let's move on to the next in the queue, and that's Carrion. Carrion. So it's like, what is the game to describe this like? Well, it's like 2D platform.
I'm not. Yeah,
in the most basic sense.
It seems like a Metroidvania style game
where you control the alien / test subject that's escaped from the lab, and you have to destroy all humans.
Well, it's kind of like it's playing on the whole thing of you're always fighting, like in Aliens, you fight the aliens, or like in Axiom Verge, you're fighting the aliens, or in every game like this type, you're killing the quote unquote bad guys.
Yeah, and here you get to
the
play
interlopers, but you are the test subject, and you are fighting against the humans.
You're fighting to escape, and it's little tiny pixely art, and it's very, very gory as you dismember and otherwise eviscerate everything around you.
Yeah, I think I can get into that.
It has that certain appeal that we all like.
Dynamically, it looks quite quick, and it reminds me of like Meat Boy. The way you move around.
You can sort of tentacle your way around the level. It's got bits of sort of platformer where you have to navigate around the environmental areas. They don't show anything. I assume that, given that it's sort of a blob of sort of fleshy tentacles, it doesn't have to worry too much about things like spikes. And why would a lab have spikes anyway? It's like,
don't break the fourth wall of games. How dare you?
But
also, you seem to grow.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's consumption.
I assume the more you eat, the bigger you get.
That's usually the rule.
Of course.
Go through grates by the look of it, through water.
The thing is,
very malleable.
If you look at the control system, I wonder if it's mouse-based or what. Because you can see the way it sort of jumps around, it's like not obvious. Because obviously with a platform where you got your controller character, the jumps, you like move and jump. But here, it looks like it almost propels itself by firing a tentacle in that direction and then pulling itself along.
So maybe you only have like control over that initial tentacle, and then the body is
look at that.
its own.
It seems to, but the sort of directional changes are very, very quick. So I'm just wondering how it plays.
The more I see of this, the more I want to play it.
We need to speak to Devolver about getting some playable code too.
Yeah, because we were so favourable about their last published game that we spoke about last week.
Was that Pablo?
Don't mention that game.
Was it though?
Yeah.
We love that game. We gave it like 10 thumbs up. Devolver, send us a free copy. The next game we're looking at is Blue Protocol. More and more details trickling out about this RPG. From the looks of things and from what they're suggesting, it seems to be much more real-time action based, which is a good thing. There's a number of games out there and coming out on the market soon that follow a similar formula. Not sure.
Do you know what this reminds me of? And not in a bad way, in a good way. There was a bit just in the trailer there where a girl runs up to a balustrade and jumps over the edge of this, what looks like a balcony area.
Assassin's Creed.
Into a lower...
No, continue.
Nothing reminds me of Assassin's Creed except dog shit. And then she jumps down into a lower part of the town.
Yeah.
And that reminded me, and the graphical style is quite reminiscent of it in its anime-esque way of Gravity Rush, which
Gravity Rush.
Always wanted to play, but don't own one of those Sony things.
Gravity Rush 2, I'd love to play that. Man, so much want to play Gravity Rush, but PlayStation. Sony sent us a PlayStation.
They cut. I think there were servers for the game, and then they cut it off. 6 months after the game, Gravity Rush 2 came out.
Wow.
They cut off. I think this is right. I'm sure I heard this because obviously I was interested in the actual game because I thought maybe this will be a PC port some ways down the line. And Sony just went, oh, the servers, by the way, we're cutting off that shit.
Is it a first-party game?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Well, it's Sony the publishers anyway.
I think it was the studio made it for them and they published it. Which is
a shame because they did a whole big advertising push for it. The thing was the first game. It's one of those underrated classics that just no one knows about.
Well, it didn't help that it was on the PS Vita as well.
Well, yeah, but the game.
Notwithstanding the console could handle the game, it was just that nobody bothered playing it.
Yeah. Well, the problem was the PS Vita. Obviously, the sales are not. Although it was on PlayStation 3 at the time, I think.
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I
just remember
the dual format. But yeah, I think it was mainly Vita, and then they did a special edition and brought it to the PlayStation afterwards. But yeah, the Gravity Rush 2 looked much better, and really wanted to get into that. Anyway,
but this game, talked about Gravity Rush.
But this game, which is not Gravity Rush, it looks good. It's a case of how much, how they handle the MMO parts of it, because obviously you can see you've got parties. Is it going to be instance dungeons or just open world where you sort of run around and you can get like in Final Fantasy 14 where I've seen just obscene numbers of people fighting the bosses, and it just becomes the screen becomes awash with energies and explosions and stuff, and it's how can you tell what's going on or if what attacks the enemies doing?
They don't care what's going on. They're just saying 3, 2, 1, and then they press their little button, and then they say 7, 6, 5, 4, and then they press another button, and then that's all they do.
But yeah, it just a lot of attack spam, and it up to a limit that's fine. It becomes just more difficult to play. Hopefully this game avoids that.
This has a Phantasy Star-esque look to it as well.
It reminds me of
Phantasy Star coming next year.
To the Xbox.
Oh wait, next year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, wait.
Well,
oh crap.
Well, this game ain't any closer.
Yeah, that's the point. This game. Rumours that it's coming out. There's going to be a closed beta test in Japan soon. We won't necessarily try and get on that because Japan, but hopefully they will start doing global tests soon, and we can get our hands on some copies of that. Next up, Kurtzpel. Action RPG. It's been out for a number of months now. It actually went free to play back in May, and I missed it. Back when it was pay to play, I was like, no, thank you. It went free to play, and so I've played it for a bit. The graphics are lovely. The character creation was not as widely ranged as I thought. But it did enable me to create a Dragon Ball GT style character. They got masses of hair.
Did you actually download it?
Yeah.
Oh right, okay. I wasn't sure because when I mentioned it the other day.
Well, the thing was, I was
you sounded like you were on the cusp.
I was like, should I? And there was I'll download it. I'll have it download in the background and play for an hour. Now, it's for the most part the controls are fairly fluid and stuff, but I found the combat to be not so. It's kind of annoying. You sort of like the character I picked. It's got the big sword. When you start off, you only got choice of the archer or the sort of the large sword wielder. So I picked that. So you sort of wade into fight, and it's sort of arena style boss rush sort of thing. So you go and beat your boss. That's it. Then you go to the next mission where it's literally it's a 1v1 versus sort of thing. And so you go and you fight this creature, and you're sort of doing hits, and it's like, okay, it's going to do an attack. And then you have the ability to like roll or sort of dash in a direction, and you find yourself almost animation locked in that you get hit a heck of a lot unnecessarily because your character just won't dash. You're like, okay, so attacking, dash, no, smack, damn it, okay.
Is that user error?
Well, I don't know. The problem is I'm not sure. I haven't played enough, but it seemed to be that I was getting hit a lot. I was finding it very difficult to avoid attacks unless I literally stopped, early. When they start saying, okay, the guy's going to move, so he's going to do an attack in about 5 seconds. Stop then, and then get the hell out of there.
Do you think it has a problem with button buffering?
It may be.
Because there's a lot of games that have that.
Yeah, because you spam so many attacks in. I've got to clear the attack buffer before I can do that.
Well, some of them just don't have a buffer beyond 2. And then, so if you're more than 2 inputs down, you literally have to stop from, a fraction of a second and then press the actual thing you want.
Well, no, I think it seemed to... Well, I don't know. The problem is that with the sword user, because the sword is quite large, all the attacks are like fairly heavy swings. So there's momentum to them, and there's a time between each attack. So that means that you are literally once you've done like 3 swings, you have to wait for that to play out. But it's like, okay, I've stopped swinging, and then still I couldn't dash properly. So I don't know if it's just a weird control issue. I don't know. I've got to perhaps hit the forums up and see if anyone else has mentioned it. But it just made the fights a little more unsatisfactory purely because widely telegraphed attacks, and I was getting hit through what seemed to be no fault of my own. I don't know. I will give it a bit more time because, like I said, I mean it's the graphics are very nice and the combat seems to be fairly meaty. But if I find that 2, 3, 4 hours in, I'm still the action still isn't flowing well enough, then I'll drop it. Incidentally, the trailer we're watching here, the scene was with the characters using sort of hand-to-hand combat. There is a game coming eventually. Its codename is Project Barbecue. It's the sequel to Dungeon Fighter Online.
Oh God!
It's going to be Dungeon Fighter 3D Online, essentially.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
So it's kind of like that thing where, but in the trailer they've showed it, and I suggest you track it down because it came out like 3, 4, 5 months before this. The combat is shown to be very fluid. The person controlling like a monk character or something. So they're doing boxing. So they hit. They sort of duck and weave, sidestep attacks, go back in there, and the just that scene alone, just the fluidity of movement and the ability to dodge looks great. If they can pull that off, I would absolutely play that game. I would pay money for that game because it looks to be the satisfying combat. And at the moment, Kurtzpel is not necessarily doing that for me. I don't know. I'm going to have to put, like I said, I'm going to have to put more time into it because maybe it's just me, maybe it's my keyboard. I don't know. But there's just something off, and it's holding the game back for me. But yeah, like I said, Dungeon Fighter Online, if they can pull it off and if they can bring it out like sometime before the end of this year, because a lot of things are coming, and I suspect that I may get lost in Phantasy Star again for a number of, I may lose another part of my life to that game. It may get drowned out purely because there's only so much game time available, and something's got to suffer. But yeah, Project Barbecue, maybe something that we'll bring up and you can have a look at it. Hopefully it will be in the news. But after the trailer they released, it's been radio silence from the studio.
The thing that originally, obviously graphically, it looks like modern sort of anime.
Yeah.
But then the button system, what you can see in these trailers of what it is, and I'm sure you obviously recognise it, there's only like 6 buttons to contend with, unlike other online RPG games.
No, to Kurtzpel, the control system, WSAD for movement,
Yep.
Mouse for targeting, left and right mouse button for attack. Left for like normal attack, so you can chain that. Right for special, so you can press and hold for charge attack.
Right.
Quick thing, you can combos, so you can do light, heavy stuff like that. And then you've got Q for ERF around the D for like specials which charge up. Q is a special rage attack which you have to fill up a bar over the course of a battle.
Mm-hmm.
So you got that. Maybe I got to switch to break out the gamepad and see if it plays any different on that. But yeah, it's
so it's a bit more streamlined than what
it's
you'd
very
experience from like
very
WoW,
heavily streamlined.
where you've got like 13 rows of 10
it's
buttons.
nothing like that. It's essentially it's action where your character does contextual attacks.
Yeah,
depending on where you are in a sequence or something.
That's kind of what I got initially from what I saw on Steam, available on Steam, obviously.
Steam tennis copy. Oh wait, it's free.
Doit. And that was like, oh, well, this is different because...
Yeah. No, compared to... it's very action. In terms of RPG, the emphasis is very heavily on action. The stats you get from going up levels are just, numbers. So, okay, you can now do more damage, but it's just... you progress levels and your character just gets more powerful, as opposed to any kind of customization with something like WoW, where you can do like custom builds. Here, you essentially the weapon you're wielding gives you your attack, your fighting style. Apparently, there's the ability to change mid battle.
All right, so like Monster Hunter or Dark Souls.
Yeah, so you can switch to like ranged attacks or depending whatever suits the situation.
I have to say the bow in that trailer reminded me very much of Monster Hunter.
It's also a lot of the attacks that you see here. If you play Black Desert Online, the Archer class there.
Why would I have ever done that?
Dinosaur attack. If you in Black Desert Online, the Archer does a lot of the specials. You've got to launch the arrows into the air and they rain down. A lot of the things for the Archer are very similar. Apparently, when the game came out, so it started out in beta. They only had the two attacks. So you had like person with sword and the Archer class, which is kind of unbalanced if you think about it. Given that the Archer can just back off and just spam attacks from a distance.
But in theory, a lot weaker.
Yes, but if you're the particular arena you're fighting on is wide open. I mean, I've seen people do PvP where 4 people, so you got 2 with swords, 2 with even team, and the Archer class seem to have a lot of advantage even with walls and stuff. To try and help close distance. It's early days, and
I think there's always balance issues with range classes.
Yeah,
always.
They need to. Because the thing is, PvE versus PvP, it doesn't matter because you're fighting, together. So it, balance is one way, but when it comes to PvP,
no.
You
can't. Even in PvE,
yeah,
there's issues with balance.
Well, you just tweak damage, then, isn't it? So you can say,
in theory, yeah. But then, how much?
Yeah. So in a lot of games, the range classes are hell popular purely because you can just I'm shooting and they can't touch me, sort of thing. Unless you give the opponents, ability to do ranged attacks as well.
Watching people it's truly impressive because it's not the most intuitive system on Monster Hunter to use the bow. And I tried with controller and with mouse and keyboard, and both are horrendous in my opinion.
So they made the system difficult in order to.
Well, it hasn't stopped some people who must have 6 fingers. Because I've watched them defeating the hardest monsters in a couple of minutes.
What's the mechanic like? I mean, do you have like a bar that moves, or do you charge?
Well, you've got stamina.
Yeah.
Some shots require charging, some don't.
Yeah.
Depends what arrows you choose. Depends the coating you choose. Well, arrows and coating are basically the same thing. So there's a lot in it, and then it depends on what monster you're fighting. Obviously, weakness. And then using traps to hold them in place, and then there's things like multi-shot or single shot. There's dragon shot.
No, I mean, it's in the actual launching of the arrow. Do you just target reticule, pointing thing and just press a button and it launches? Or
Yeah, with the mouse and keyboard or with the controller, you're literally controlling a
targeting reticule.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just like if you think about it in a layman term, it would be like the equivalent of shooting a bow on a first-person shooter.
Do you have
But
to
you're
have
third
a lock on for a melee though?
do you have to account for like?
For melee, yeah.
Do you have to
Well,
account?
But that
Ish.
doesn't follow over to the bow then?
Ish, but I don't. You'd be a fool to use any kind of lock on with melee anyway, because the game doesn't. It's a really weird system.
Do the arrows follow like gravity or wind thing, or do they just the straight line trajectory?
I
Or you
think
could
there
tell.
is some fall off.
Okay, so if it's a distance, you do have to put.
wind.
But you still you have to account for gravity. Then.
Yes,
Okay,
I believe
cool.
in some instances you do, and some of them are literally drop shots. So you'll fire a thing into the air and it will rain rocks.
Okay.
So, but then that's like you have to. It gives you an arcing target system, and you have to pull the blob over and then fire, and it will just. Rain
Okay.
down.
Yes. Oh, so you target where you area of effects.
Yeah,
targeting.
but it's like you've got two different kinds of shot, and then one requires holding, one doesn't. Then you've got to move around as well.
Yeah. Because obviously they're not. The monster is not going to let you do your own thing.
It's very difficult. Like, I mean, obviously you have to like be on it and continually practice. But even after maybe 2 hours of going at it, I found cripplingly difficult to be efficient.
Well, there's more power to the people who can.
Yeah, absolutely, and they fucking cane the monsters. Absolutely,
it's getting it faster than I can do with my
I've got a sword and shield, mate, and it turns into a giant axe and explodes with violent fury, and you have a bow.
And you're still doing it faster.
And it's like, I'm obviously doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You need to put more hours into it, I think.
Thank you for showing up my errors.
Yeah. I'm inept. 200 plus hours into the game, inept.
I'm just going to go back and kill those beginner monsters because that's all I'm capable of,
So
apparently.
floating jellyfish.
Right. Next up, we have something a little different to what we usually talk about. The Witcher TV series coming out on Netflix. Is it out? Not yet? Or
No.
Do you know when the release date will be?
Who cares when it comes out?
Netflix, send us a copy.
They'll bombard us with anyone who has Netflix. They'll bombard us with adverts that will just start playing the second you turn your Netflix on. It will just start playing.
They should have given him a beard.
Well, Geralt doesn't have a beard.
They should have given him a beard anyway.
Although I think he might have the. I think I have seen him with a beard in some cutscenes. But Henry Cavill's face is real, so he has the ability to grow hair. So they don't need to Photoshop it in later or out like they did in the Justice League film.
Oh, goodness
where
me.
they had to take out his moustache
Yeah.
from because he was filming Mission Impossible Fallout when they did the reshoots.
They could have just had his character not have a moustache in Mission Impossible. I mean, was it like the casting requirements in Mission Impossible 4?
If they were recording with him having a moustache,
It's not.
it's not their fault.
Yeah, he's contracted to a new gig, man.
Yeah. So he's gone back and they've whitewashed his top lip to the worst effect. The worst effects I have ever seen.
It looks like rubbery.
It looks rubbery and discoloured.
But that's because it's the hardest thing to animate.
Well, yeah, it's in every scene. You're going to have to blot out every scene.
What if they
he
like
moves
did
his
like
face.
close ups,
Yeah,
like of his, just of his face?
But think of how many muscles are in your top lip, and also you're creating something that isn't there essentially because it's covered by a moustache. So you don't know how the.
Oh well, they probably would have taken his I'm hoping they would have taken a screenshot of what it did look like from previous scenes where they recorded.
It's 2D though, isn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah,
So you're trying to remap it, you know.
Also, it's in every frame of every scene that he's in.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
So if you imagine it's running...
If I'm an army grunt, but I'm Matt Damon, I'm not going to wear my helmet, because otherwise how will you know I'm Matt Damon? that bugs the hell out of me, man. Every film, when they're army grunts...
I'm too special!
They don't wear what they should be wearing, because... But you can't see my face! Mate, honestly.
Anyway, back to this.
Do we have to?
This reminds me, like, the feel and look of it has a has a duality between Game of Thrones
Obviously.
and another series. I'm struggling to remember.
What is it
It
about?
was shot in New Zealand and produced by Jon Favreau.
Oh, I know what you're
What's
talking
it
about.
called?
Rubbish.
It's on the second series already, and I think that it's
What
on
happens in it?
Netflix. It's like after the end of the world,
It's fairies and magic.
and there's magic and very little technologies left. It's like
very little happened in the first series.
it's like in the future.
Very
Future
little.
fantasy.
Yeah, it's like in the future.
Very little happened.
But-
very little happened.
Because special effects costs money.
Look it up.
Okay, you
Search The Bold and the Beautiful Future Fantasy.
No. Just
Yes.
just go to IMDb and look up Jon Favreau's page and go to
Yeah,
producer.
but he was only there.
He's the producer.
Put his name.
I just can't remember what it's called. Anyway, it has a feel of both of those, where it has obviously there's some budget in it, and they've put it
I'm
to
assuming this is filmed in Iceland.
what? Because Iceland's the place, right?
Obviously, right?
because it has the Iceland feel to it.
Because
it's not like it doesn't look like Iceland to me, but
doesn't it?
I've not been, I guess.
What you mean? There are no black volcanoes smoking?
Anyway, like the long and the short of this isn't a film; it's a series. So in that respect, I hope it's finite, like they did with Stranger Things and a few other things, where it's finite. So they've got an arcing story, and then it finishes, and then they'll put effort
It was
into a
based on the
second or
book,
third.
though,
Or...
so who knows what's going on in the books?
That's it. The Shania Chronicles. The Shania Chronicles.
Shannara Chron.
Yeah, Shania,
Okay.
whatever.
So it's a sort of similar fantasy.
It has the look and feel of that crossed with Game of Thrones,
Okay.
which isn't a bad thing on either side.
I mean, it looks nice. I don't know that. Does he? How much witching he does?
well,
Things they keep talking about monsters.
why do you keep on going about witching? He's a monster hunter. He is the Witcher, but he is a monster hunter.
I don't know what witches do. You see,
They're monster hunters.
shouldn't he be called the Monsterer?
But there is a couple of little teases here, because obviously he does wield magic also. But there is a couple of little teases here where it looks like he can. Which will be befitting, because if he can't, that'll be a bit lame.
There doesn't seem much emphasis on monsters. It's more like humans are the
Look,
monsters.
that's
Well,
what they're
there was
saying.
monsters
That's
there,
exactly what they're saying.
and the monsters are usually people, right?
The
Are they?
worst monsters. This is what they're saying. It's in the trailer, mate. It's
Yeah.
in the trailer.
Okay.
Anyway, look,
It
giant
is.
spider coming
Yes,
out
I
of
forgot about
water.
giant spider.
It's-
Giant spider coming out of water.
Listen, it saves,
There's a bloody
it
clawed
saves-
hand.
It saves on Brian Brown doing the FX, all right? It saves if you just have
Wow.
a person.
Wow, that was so niche.
Yeah,
That was
you're
so
welcome.
niche.
You're welcome.
One person got it, and
You're
it was
welcome.
me.
You're
We
welcome.
both know what movie he was talking about.
You're welcome.
Do you?
FX
Of course
Murder
he
by
does.
Illusion.
Of course he does.
Because
of
we're-
course he
Yeah,
does.
you say of course he does. I bet he's never watched the film.
I've
though.
watched the film, like
from start to finish.
yeah, but like once.
I
or
feel
twice.
your pain.
I
All right, hold on a second. There's a scene in here where it looks like the back of some sort of creature that used to have wings that they look like they were pulled off to bloody
Oh.
stumps. Did you see that?
Yeah. I didn't know what that was, to be fair. Now that you say that, it kind of looks like that. I wasn't really paying much attention to it.
It's coming up. Good old chain whip.
it's coming up. It's coming
I
up.
think he's just trying to get out.
There.
There's a clawed hand monster. He's
He looks,
looking.
he looks when he's like there. He looks like weird, muscly He-Man.
Well, that's because he's.
That looks like Oliver Reed, that guy.
No, what?
He reminds me of
Oliver
Far-
Reed
Far
without
Hero.
the.
He looks like Oliver Reed. I don't
Anyway,
know if it's his,
he
maybe
doesn't-
it's
no.
his son.
No, just stop
It's
talking.
probably his
The
son.
son of
What's
Oliver Reed.
what's wrong with that woman's face? Is she supposed to be
Yes.
deformed? Because it just looks like she's got her tongue in her cheek.
She
Hey man, she's like
she has a lumpy chin, therefore she is a monster or something to be
she's
feared or
she's
burned.
deformed. What?
I don't have a problem with her having a birth defect or anything. I just think it could have been handled better. That thing.
Yeah, it sort of and freeze frame.
And scene.
There. Oh! These things differ. Don't worry, we'll fix it in post. He's wearing a jetpack.
That could be anything, but it looks like some creature that had its wings sheared off.
Yeah, no, you are right about that. But it's not enough of
what would you call those?
Although the thing is, it could
the
be a face.
muscular humps of wings.
It could be. It's a face of like some kind of mantis-like creature walking backwards.
Yeah, but that's because you're
pareidolia.
predisposed to
seeing faces and things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is why people think they've seen Jesus in a piece of toast.
I saw him this morning.
Or I saw one in a yeah, sure you did. I saw one. This was a long time ago. It was in the bubbles of beer in their glass.
At AX, I saw at least 3 con Jesuses over the course of the event.
What's
what
a con
buddy Jesus?
Well, it's just someone who dresses up as Jesus. It's a thing. Something they
just,
go around. Yeah,
isn't it just Buddy Jesus from Dogma?
pretty much.
Right.
But yeah, at least 3 of them over the course.
Speaking of which, something we can touch on next week or never again. They made another Jay and Silent Bob movie when they promised they wouldn't.
Did they promise they wouldn't?
Kind of.
What is that? I'm out of the loop. Is that a third one or a second one?
That's the
third
fourth one.
Fourth.
And
Wow.
it's from,
Wait, are you counting actual just Jay and Silent Bob ones, or like because Mallrats? Because technically they're in like.
well,
But that's not
no.
their film, though, is it?
Wait. I'm not talking about their films because of which their films
No,
they
I'm
really
talking
only
about-
have one.
Didn't they do 2?
What?
Because they did Strikes Back.
Strikes
as well.
Back is the sequel, isn't it?
No,
Or is that it?
that is it because there was the original one, which was the black and white film called I forget.
I don't.
Right?
Oh,
where they
yes, Amy. No, it
was before that.
No.
Where they were
No,
standing
no.
outside, and that's where the character was introduced. Then there was Chasing Amy. There was Mallrats. There was Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and there was another one.
They've done some TV movies.
Push
and-
it.
Thingy 2, which was the first film, but 2.
Gremlins.
Yeah, so
2.
Strike Back, as movies go, not TV ones. Strike Back is the first one then. So it's
Yes.
Jay and Silent Bob reboot,
Yes.
which means it's
Which
Strike Back.
They are hocking at Comic-Con as we speak.
Reboot.
That's what it's called.
It's called Jay and Silent Bob reboot because someone was at the boardroom. They're saying, right, Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
what's the
We need
buzzword?
titles. Go. And everyone's like, okay, well, we'll just go with the first idea then.
I've watched the trailer. We're not going to show the trailer. It's awful. Thanks for your time.
We're not going to be showing the trailer now. Instead, we're going to just keep running The Witcher. Enjoy.
And yeah, I think that's it
Enjoy Henry Cavill's abs.
for today. You don't see it. You see his seps though.
Breasticles.
His breasticles. Yeah.
Chesticles, I think.
And you see
is the
he's
phrase you're thinking of.
fully his
Engorged.
own manly grown out white hair. His own manly grown out.
Clearly not his
Clearly
own.
his own.
Clearly
He's
not
grown
his
it
own.
from his head.
Why would anyone do that?
He gurned and
it
strained
sprouted.
himself, and it grew.
I think that's how Goku grows his hair.
And he is exactly
Or
a
Vegeta.
Maybe
super chimpanzee.
Super Saiyan level 1.
What Izaru?
Bless you.
Wait, what? I missed something. I missed something there.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
Anyway, that's I think all we have time for.
That is all we have time for because yeah, that was great. That was your podcast. Thank you, James, for appearing halfway through. He was silent for the first half. We don't know
Thank you.
why. Anyway,
Yes, that's all.
that was the Digital Suffering Podcast. We suffer, so you don't have to. That was the Digital Suffering Podcast. If you'd like to suffer some more, you can find other episodes on Red Circle, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple iTunes, Stitcher, Radio Public, and SoundCloud. Please like and subscribe everywhere.